What's up, y'all? It's Marcy, and I have a quick word for you. Obedience is key. Obey the Lord. Let me tell y'all something. I was having a hard time sleeping one night. This was maybe 2-3 nights ago. I was having a hard time. I had a hard time getting to sleep, and then I had a hard time staying asleep. But while I was trying to get back to sleep, the Lord started ministering to me about obedience. And he started to minister to me that obedience is one of the biggest, best, ultimate weapons that we have against the enemy. Let me tell you why. Because it's opposite of rebellion. Hello. This is why the enemy does everything he can to distract us, try to keep us from obeying God. I know for a fact that there have been things that God had told me to do specifically, and I kept putting it off. I either put it off or I didn't do it. And I have my reasons for why I didn't do it, but here's the bottom line. None of those reasons were a good excuse for me not to obey God. We don't obey God, we take ourselves out of the will of God, which also means we are out of the safety of God. This is why he talks so much about us being obedient. You know, Jesus talked to his disciples about it quite a bit. He even told them, if you love me, keep my commandments. It is very, very important that we obey God in whatever he is telling us to do. Let me take you to the word on this, okay? This is 2 Corinthians chapter 10, starting at verse 3, okay? And I'm reading the NLT version. Read it in whatever version is easiest for you to understand, all right? We are human, but we don't wage war as humans do. We use God's mighty weapons, not worldly weapons, to knock down the strongholds of human reasoning and to destroy false arguments. We destroy every proud obstacle that keeps people from knowing God. We capture their rebellious thoughts and teach them to obey Christ. And after you have become fully obedient, we will punish everyone who remains obedient. I want to concentrate on verse 5. We destroy every proud obstacle that keeps people from knowing God. This part right here. We capture their rebellious thoughts and teach them to obey Christ. You got to obey Christ in order to be an overcomer. Now, I'm not talking about getting victory. We are victorious simply because we walk in the Spirit. We believe on Jesus Christ. We are saved by grace through faith. Basically, Jesus did everything that needed to be done on the cross to be victorious so that we could be victorious. Okay? Get that understanding first. However, you must obey Christ. That's the second step. You cannot hope to maintain your victory if you're not being obedient to God. You have to do what he's telling you to do. Here's something I always tell people, and God reminded me of it when he was ministering this word to me. Partial obedience is 100% disobedience. You know why? Because you can't do half or a part of what God is telling you and expect him to honor that. It does not work that way. This happened with King Saul when he was instructed to destroy the Amalekites. He did not do that. He destroyed some things, but he kept some of the cattle. He kept some of the treasures that he thought would be good to go in the temple. He kept some of the animals that he thought would be good to sacrifice unto the Lord. That was why Samuel had to tell him, listen, obedience is better than sacrifice. And rebellion is the sin of witchcraft. When you don't obey God, you bewitch yourself. When you don't obey God, you are in rebellion. I'm not talking about things that God is bringing to your attention and you're coming into the knowledge of. When you don't know, you don't know. But when you do know, that's when you're held responsible. We must obey God. That is the weapon that we use, that 2 Corinthians chapter 10 is talking about. That's how we take every thought captive unto the obedience of Christ. We obey him. We do what God is telling us to do. So here's the bottom line. If there is something that God has been telling you to do it. No more excuses, no more holding out. There's not one good reason that will measure up when you stand before the Lord on Judgment Day and he asks you, why didn't you do this? I told you to do this. I gave you instructions. I gave you warnings about what would happen if you didn't do it. Why didn't you do it? I'm telling you now, there's no good excuse that's going to hold up on Judgment Day. Also, you got to think about the people that you're supposed to be impacting while you're on this earth. There are people that are assigned to us. There are people that we are supposed to reach. There's people that we're supposed to be ministering to through the gifts and the ministries that God has given us. We do not want to be responsible for not doing those things and not ministering to those people. The book of Ezekiel talks about how God told Ezekiel, you are a watchman. You have a responsibility to preach the gospel and to minister to the children of Israel. If you don't do it, their blood will be on your hands. That's what he said, point blank. He told him, if you cry out and they don't listen, you're free and clear. Nothing on you. But if you don't cry out when I told you to, their blood is on your hands. Because those are people who could have been saved from destruction. It is the same thing with us today. I know this seems like a harsh word, but I'm just telling it to you like the Lord told it to me. If there is something you're supposed to be doing and you haven't done it, get busy. Get to work. Get off your duff and get to work. Okay? It's not just for you. It was for me too. The word always comes to the messenger first. So get to work. That is a quick word. I hope it blessed you. See you soon. Bye.